services that improve our people's lives. When there is more investment and business expansion, jobs are created, livelihoods are supported, and the benefits circulate in the local area. That is why accelerating economic growth, attracting investment, and creating jobs must be at the center of the efforts of all spheres of our government. 2 weeks ago, I was part of an investment oversight visit in KwaZulu-Natal. We attended the launches of 2 expansion projects by an automotive component manufacturer called Hesto Harnesses and a paper products company called SABC. Both of these were fulfillments of commitments made at one of our South Africa investment conferences. These investments are supporting job creation. They're also supporting enterprise development as well as localization, making sure that the products that go into the final products they produce are sourced in the local area and that they promote local entrepreneurs in the surrounding area. And this will inject millions of rands into the local economies. And in one case, they were able to quantify it and say so many small and medium enterprises are going to be part of our economic or financial ecosystem, and so many other companies are going to provide us with components locally produced that will go into the final product that we make. Over the past 2 months, I've attended similar such launches by Ford Motor Company, Isuzu, Anglo-American, Corobrick, Sandvik, Netflix, Console Glass, and many other companies that had made commitments when we held our South Africa Investment Conference. These business expansion projects aren't happening opposite or at the union buildings. They are not also happening in Parliament. They are being built in our local towns, in our metros, where our people live and where they are needed most. And I think it's important that we should have it clear in our minds that investments that we mobilize finally take place at the local level. And it is therefore at the local level that all of you who are here are the real actors. You are the real enablers for those businesses that come and invest in our country. If we are to harness the momentum of economic recovery that these new investments signal, or these expansion investments signal, local government has to be strong, it has to be efficient, it has to be capable, and it also has to be well run. When these domestic investors, as well as multinationals, make their investment decisions on where to bring or to expand their investments, one of the first factors that they consider is whether there is an enabling environment in that locality. First, of course, they'll look at the country and say and ask themselves, is South Africa an attractive investment destination? Once they tick that box, they then look at a number of other considerations. And finally, the most important that they will descend to is whether the local area, the local municipality is an investable environment. Is there a conducive environment that has been created in that local municipality for them to come and plant their money, either to build a factory, to build a facility, and what have you. They look at whether they can receive the necessary approvals as well as permits on time, rather than wait forever and be told that come back, fill another form, the form is lost, and so forth and so forth. They look at the quality of the provision of water, electricity, sewerage, and refuse removal. Their representatives will come to the town. They will come to the locality. They will come to the metro, and they will do an examination, firstly of the site, and thereafter they will meet the local people, having started off possibly by meeting officials in various national departments. But where it really matters most is whether at the local area they are going to find joy. They look at the quality of the roads and at the quality of the infrastructure they will need to transport their products to the market. They analyze whether the environment is safe and secure, whether they will be able to protect their investments. If they are not satisfied that their needs will be met, they will choose to go somewhere else to invest. And if, for instance, they are not met by a very welcoming horde of officials, of political leaders, they just make a quick judgment and then move on and go to another place. I remember a story of a company that wanted to invest. They went to a particular country to go and make an investment of $1 billion. And when they got there, they asked, what processes do we need to follow to make this $1 billion investment? Just right there and then, they were pushed from pillar to post. They said, no, go to this one, go to that office, go to that office. The process will take you 6 months for you to fill in the forms, and then you will come back, and so forth and so forth. That company, which I knew very well, that company then sent its officials to Brazil. They got to Brazil. When they got to Brazil, they were met by the governor of a province or a state in Brazil at the airport with a red carpet. And the governor said, welcome, what can we do to help you set up your business? And we can do a very quick process. We've got a one-stop shop where you can do all your applications, and within a month, we will have everything ready for you to invest. And that company decided that that's exactly where we want to be. They invested the $1 billion and added up with another $1 billion 3 years later when they built a big facility to finish their products. So it is the attitude. It is the way in which at the local level, and this company did not go to the top government level, at the local level where a conducive environment had been created for this company to make the final decision. Because in the end, the final decision will be made on the impressions that the officials that the company has sent once they see what the lay of the land is. In some cases, companies that are already operating in an area choose to leave. And we need to ask ourselves, why do they choose to leave? In the process, jobs are lost, businesses are forced to close, businesses that may be cooperating with this other business, suppliers lose their clients, and the local economy suffers. Now, this is not a fable. This is something that happened in our own country, where a company decided to leave because the local government was not able to provide the necessary environment for the company to continue operating. And I think in the course of that, some 1,000 or 2,000 jobs were lost in one of our provinces. And the company relocated to another province. And that led to more unemployment in that area. As we work to promote local economic development, we need to consider the role of the district development model, which I believe you have spoken about quite extensively. We need to ensure that this integrated, multidisciplinary approach to government planning and implementation must in the end translate into local economic development that changes lives at a household level. According to conventional wisdom, the whole process to move our people from the vicious trap of poverty as well as backwardness to becoming a prosperous type of economic situation has two paths, in my view. It is to get governance at the local level to be absolutely right and to get service delivery absolutely right. If we can get that right, then what follows will be an influx of investments and growth that will immediately follow. We need to ensure that the key players in the running of a municipality, and all of you who are here, all of you are key role players, mayors, the speakers, municipal managers, the chief whips, the impact chairs, and chief financial officers, and all of the various key officials who are here. You have to play your important role collectively. Collectively play your role in ensuring that we promote local economic development. And it should not be a singular task for the mayor alone, it should be an integrated one. And in the end, we should not leave this task to consultants to devise our economic development plans. I've often heard that at local government level, it is the consultants who devise the LED and then present it to the mayor and who presents it to council. For me, that is completely devoid of identifying the key priorities by the key players. The local economic development plan must be devised by yourselves, knowing exactly what the lay of the land is and what needs to be achieved. Because in the end, it is yourselves who will need to implement the plan. Because you drive the process of development, of service delivery, of everything that happens in the municipality from start to finish. We have spoken about some of the key elements of an ideal municipality, including a vibrant economy that needs to be engendered, places where tourists may want to visit once the key players decide that we are going to make our local municipality an attractive place for people to come from all over to come and visit. How the local municipality will focus on skills development and create spaces for young people to be trained, to be skilled, and to develop. Such municipalities provide good access to health, to education, to recreational facilities, In such an ideal municipality, not only are residents able to lead lives of quality and dignity, they are magnets for investment. The task before us at this point is to translate the district development model one plans into reality. And I'd like to believe that we've spoken enough about the theory of the district development model. What now needs to happen is to practice it. And to practice it with, yes, whatever little resources we have, to excel in our capabilities of demonstrating that, yes, we can make the district development model come alive. We can work in an integrated manner, all of us who are key role players, and then interlink with those at provincial level, at national level, so that what you then have to put into practice at the local level then becomes a reality. A credible plan is only as good as its implementation. And even the best plan will not succeed if we do not fix the systemic problems that prevent local government from carrying out its functions. As I told the Salga Council of Mayors earlier this month, we have to embark on course correction to advance the principle of people-centered local government. President of Salga always insists that we cannot and should not do things in the same old way and expect different results. We now need to have course correction, look much broader, and see what is it that we can change and bring to bear so that we can be able to change the course of local government. This means focused and committed leadership across all municipalities with stronger strategic relations, yes, with the key role players in our communities, civil society, the various other government agents, be it the police, be it education institutions, local business in the area, and all other social partners. It means improving the quality and efficiency of local government through better funding from your own resources, as well as better funding from the equitable share, whose formula, as you have said and advocated for, needs to be relooked. It also means better planning and better execution. It is about focusing on the key area of governance and also professionalizing municipal administration, stabilizing management, as well as political leadership. And it is at this level where we've had most of our challenges, where people in political leadership have often butted heads amongst themselves, where they start differing and even fighting like there is no tomorrow. Fighting that at times results in outright violence where people even die. And we therefore need to redefine the way, I'm sorry about that. I am.
There's a generator to kick back just in a second. Yeah, just wait a second. It will kick in. The lighting is already kicked in, but the mic takes a bit spec now. We can continue.
Okay, I was being given lessons on how to deal with load shedding. And I must say, I am sorry about that. This continues to be our biggest challenge, as you all know. And I think it affects you at local level because you distribute electricity, and when it does this, it gets your own customers to lose businesses, it disrupts the livelihoods of our people, and people lose confidence in us. But what I'm saying is that it also means, as we address all these issues, we must also focus on prioritizing fiscal sustainability, but also sound municipal financial governance and eliminating corruption. I often become disheartened when I listen to the Auditor General when she reports that at times in some of our local government entities, you find huge payments being made without any invoices, without any backup documentation, where money just flows without any form of evidence what that money is for. This is what we need to address, and this is what we need to bring to an end. Local government should have focused approaches to investment by setting up, in my book, investment agencies whose assignment is to promote investment. I think of a country like China, and I'm glad, as Minister Dlamini Zuma said, you're going to have an input from someone from China, because in China, the economic growth that we see that was engendered in China started at the local government level. Yes, it was supported at the national level with a clear plan of where they want China to go to. Like they had their own national development plan, which we also have. But it was at the local level where they were able to engender greater and continuous growth, because they focus at the local level on promoting investment, creating that conducive environment for people to come and invest. Many investors will not easily come and invest as they drive into your town, city, or metro. They just see filth all over, where they just see sewage running in the streets. They will not have an appetite to come and invest. They will have an appetite to come and invest when they are attracted, like bees are attracted to a beautiful blooming flower, when they are attracted by a beautiful city, a clean city, a city where everything, the infrastructure works. And working hand in hand with the private sector can ensure continued growth for local government. That is precisely what happened in China as well. They were able to work hand in hand with local private sector, and that way China was then able to engineer the growth. And of course, they had the big mega projects that national government embarked on, but it was local government that played a key role as well. And through that, they were able to lift millions of people out of poverty by constructing a set of underlying conditions that fostered what I would say is an adaptive process where the local players at local government level localized their own solutions, localized those, pivoting obviously on the national plan that there is, but created local solutions, promoted investment, set up a number of investment offices where they just sought to crowd in investors. Sometimes one gets dismayed. As I move around the country, sometimes I move around with mayors, and there was a time when I saw a huge economic facility in a particular town. And I asked the mayor, because I didn't know what that was. I said, this is a huge facility. It looks like there's a lot of activity of an economic nature taking place, and I could see lots of people walking around. And I asked the mayor, what products do they make in this facility? The mayor did not know. And I asked, how many people are employed in this facility? The mayor did not know. And I asked, Mayor, have you ever been to this facility to go and talk to the management? The mayor said, no, we were thinking of going. And then I dismayed, because then I asked myself, if the mayor of this area has not really interacted with the operators, the managers, and the owners of this huge facility that employs a number of people, what is the mayor doing? Because that's where the mayor should be, saying, we want to support you to employ more people. What else can we do to make sure that your facility, your business functions well? Because it is this facility that is going to pay huge rates and taxes to the fiscus of the town or the local government. And therefore, it requires that we should focus and have our own localized solutions in dealing with all these things. Within the parameters of a national plan, local government should improvise a variety of solutions to local specific and ever-changing problems and issues at the local level. It is this mixture of local and national plan that lays the foundation for cooperative and interdependent processes that can lead to radical change. Now, if we are able to do that, we will then be able to lift our local areas to a higher level of growth. Municipalities need to focus, and I want to repeat, on promoting economic growth and also focus on the imperative of revenue collection. And municipalities should not just be happy with the 40–50% revenue collection they get. They must always be finding ways and means of increasing the revenue collection. Because in the end, municipalities are run like businesses. You have customers who are your residents or citizens, and you've also got to pay up quite a number of your own expenses, be it salaries and other products and services that you get. So essentially, you are running a business, and it is a business that provides services to our people. And we need to ensure that there are sufficient funds that are available to fulfill all the tasks and the expenses that you have to meet. In addition to the jobs that are created and the community development that is engendered, a vibrant local economic activity strengthens the financial position of municipalities. And it makes these municipalities less dependent on grants, although, of course, the equitable grant, as I said, should be looked at. But it is where we are able to build these ideal municipalities, where we are able to ensure that we get rid of instability within government structures and processes as well. Now, the political contestation and infighting that is wreaking havoc in our municipalities must come to an end. We must find a way of saying, we want to focus on governance. We want to focus on providing services to our people. And once the structure has been set up, we accept that that is the structure and we move forward with it and we will fight later, 5 years later, when we once again go to elections. Because if we don't do that, then our infighting has a negative impact on our people. We should once and for all end the hijacking of municipal councils and administrations for self-enrichment and personal gain. Now, I have heard tales, and not fables, tales of how some of our municipal councils have been captured, hijacked to advance the interests of a coterie of a few people. And where, for instance, everything that is done in a municipality is outsourced to just a few entities and companies where they've just captured the whole council. Now, I say this advisedly because this is precisely what you need to look at. Outsourcing is an acceptable process, but where we outsource everything, and having outsourced it, it moves from contractor to contractor to contractor, and we then therefore lose the capability of the municipality being able to do things for itself. And we often find that where everything is outsourced, the municipality still retains the workers who used to do that function that has been outsourced. They sit and do not do any work. They just get paid, and on top of all that, those to whom the service has been outsourced to, they then outsource everything themselves to subcontractors who keep changing. And that is why poor service delivery then ensues. That is where the memory that should be inherent in local government is then lost. So these are matters that we need to focus on. Local government should employ people that are also able to perform the functions that they are responsible for, and should carry them out in an accountable, transparent, efficient, as well as effective and responsive manner. Now, sometimes we find that the people that are employed in our municipalities do not have the necessary skills and capabilities to perform those tasks. And in the end, it leads to the weakening of our government processes. That is where, for instance, when we interface with those who can bring investments, they find that those people that they interface with drop the ball. They are not able to provide the services. They are not even able to create that conducive environment where it matters most. So it is important that we should employ people that we know are skilled and are capable of doing the work. And it is here where the issue of patronage has to be addressed. And this is where the issue of nepotism also has to be addressed. Because quite often, and as one moves around in communities, people often say, yes, in our local government, people employ their own relatives. People are employed because they are known, not so much because of their skills. Now, in carrying out this mandate, municipalities must receive the requisite support from all spheres of government, be it at national level, at provincial level, but also from state entities as well as state institutions. This is what I'm sure you are yearning for, which you should also get. Now, this conference is taking place as COCTA is undertaking a 21-year review of local government. Now, this review will assist government to learn from the lessons of the past, both in terms of best practice and failures. Now, we've had lots of best practice initiatives. That is what we must highlight. But we've also had failures, and it is these failures that we must turn into good. And it is that good that we must turn into best, so that we continuously have best practice. As we meet to discuss ways to improve governance and administration and solve our service delivery challenges, we must focus on solutions. Earlier when I was talking to Minister Dlamini Zuma, she was saying the outcomes from this forum she would like to be taken to Cabinet, so that Cabinet must look introspectively at the solutions that you will have come up with. Because all of us who are seated here, we've done the diagnosis. We know, as I said earlier, what the challenges are. We now need to focus on the solutions. So I personally look forward to the solutions that you are going to come up with on some of the issues I have mentioned, but including many of the issues that you have dealt with in your commissions. And after more than 2 decades of democratic local government and nearly 3 decades of constitutional democracy, the focus must be more on outcomes and less on intent. This is where we are now as a country. We need to be focusing on outcomes, but also evaluating performance. On the issues that we prioritize, we need to be asking ourselves, have we performed well? And are there outcomes? And are we able to demonstrate that, yes, indeed, we did focus on the priorities? And if we have not, to be honest enough, to be outright and say we failed, and this is why we failed, and I'm sure there will always be reasons. We must bridge the divide between policy and implementation, between aspiration, and we have many aspirations, and results, by focusing now on what must be done. Let this be an opportunity for all of us tasked with the business of local government to emerge from this conference with tangible actions and achievable aims. And let this be the opportunity also to reaffirm our commitment to do the most important thing, to improve the living conditions of the people of our country through developmental local government. Now, one other important thing that Minister Dlamini Zuma and I whispered to each other about was to say, we also now need to focus on how we recognize good performance, how we recognize and applaud best performance, and how we get those who are not performing well to look at those who are performing better and say, how can they emulate them and how can they get to the same level? And we can do that through 2 ways. One is to have an awards ceremony when we hold this forum every year, and where we will come here and say, this is the best performing local government entity in our country for the following reasons. And where they are awarded something of value. And my suggestion was, we need to have an incentive system which she and I will go and propagate to Treasury, that best performing local government entities need to be incentivized, obviously with what you desire most, money. They need to be incentivized with money, so that there must be a grant system that is based on best performance, so that once they have met all the criteria, there should be that level of recognition, incentivization. And I suggested that, and those who have not performed well should not only get nothing, but should also be penalized. She said, no, don't penalize them. She's very kind, as you know. So this is something that we need to possibly start doing. As we hold this forum on an annual basis, which we suggested, bring all of you together so that we can then begin to turn our local government around as we brush shoulders with each other, compare notes, compare experiences, and look at what works best, and highlight, praise, commend those who are doing well, and state the reasons why they are doing well. And I said to the minister, and she said, and President, we would like you to be at that ceremony. So apart from wanting to be a mayor, which I think I'm going to fail in achieving, I will want to be at that ceremony so that we can come and recognize and applaud those who are going to perform well. Colleagues, I wish you well in all your endeavors as you reposition our local government and turn it around so that when the Auditor General reports about our local government, we see a marked improvement. And I sincerely believe that this is possible. It is doable, it is within our hands, and we just need to put our heads together and ensure that our local government work in the interests of our people. I wish you well in all the work that you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We may be seated. And thank you once more, Honorable President, for allowing us an opportunity, particularly our municipalities, to engage with you. And this is a session which is just about to begin. I don't think it will be an easy one, but I'm sure we could be able to manage. In our aisles, in the middle, both aisles, on your left and on your right, there are 5 microphones each aisle. I'm going to request permission, Honorable Minister and Honorable President, colleagues don't greet and again in the interest of time. We have all received salutation to the President and the Honorable Minister, ministers, deputy ministers who are present here. To the point, name, municipality where you come from, 2 issues. No introductions, no preamble, just 2 key critical issues that you think, as the President and the Minister have indicated yesterday, that will culminate into Cabinet adopting the program of action which comes from this summit. So this is a grand opportunity. I never had it when I was mayor. How I wish I had. Let's utilize it appropriately. I'm going to request, secondly, those who usually have an opportunity to engage with the President in various platforms, SALGA at the Presidential Coordinating Council and everywhere else, that we give mayors, predominantly municipalities, this opportunity. I guess Tofila was president before, Zappa. Please, the President creates an opportunity for us every quarter to meet with him. That's the platform. Can I see hands? Not very easy. Traditional leaders, Bengbaka, Kupela Sky Misha, you have a guaranteed spot as the last people who are going to speak. I'm going to start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you please move to your mics? Because I'm looking at you. There's a mic next to you. Baba, buyela kule mic esemuva, uyangiroba kodwa, uphakamise emuva. Baba wephepha. Nizongixolela nibonakala kahle. Ngisho wena baba, yes, you are right at that mic there. There was a lady at the mic 3 there. Uyangiropa leya bhuti ngimbhekile. Kodwa kulungile. Kule mic ekugcineni kunobhuti weshethe elimhlophe ungixolele with that identification. It's very, very deep in Akansi. 2 minutes each. Masinyane phezu kwendaba sigqibe. Qala bhuti wami.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Even though you are denying us an opportunity to engage the President. My name is Zamon Umalo, the District Mayor of Herigwala in KZN. We have asked this opportunity in East London in Mayor's Forum to engage our President. President, the funding model, we need it like yesterday because we've got good policies, but if there is no funding to implement, those policies are going to be futile. Capacity in local government, President, that you spoke about just now. You won't get in municipalities a chartered accountant when the package is 894. Chartered accountants, they need more money. And the Honorable Minister, Mamungosazana Dlamini Zuma, in our next gathering, we must have a stakeholder of ILGM to speak there like Usalga, because as local government, we need each other. So ILGM has been left aside so that they will talk out their issues. Civil engineering needs an engineer with a PR number to sign off. So if we are hiring people without the PR numbers, we are duty bound to continue with consultants. Provincial departments are using consultants, but national is saying nothing about that, only us as local government. The last one, I so wish, President, because you listen to us, I remember in Mahlambandlovu, we proposed the minister champions to districts, and you did that. I want to propose to you today that let's have a job exchange for 1 week. Ministers, MECs, they go and work for a week in municipalities and see what we are going through. Thank you very much, President.
Bengicela ni uyibambe lapho sesiwami. Ngiyabonga kakhulu. Woza sis. Ngicela ukuthi simuphi ithuba. Woza sis.
Thank you, Program Director. Protocol observed. My name is Noluthando Nqabisa from the Eastern Cape Inokumkichima municipality. I had 2 issues. One, the gentleman has just spoken on, which what the President was alluding to in hiring people with skills. It will be very difficult, President, as the gentleman has just alluded, to get engineers of top quality and chartered accountants with the amount that we are offering as government. It will mean that we will be attracting mediocre, which will further decline our capacity in government. Secondly, what I wanted to propose to you, Mr. President, is that as you continuously, with the National Treasury, continuously bail out ESCOM, and as municipalities that are sitting with inclining bills and debts of ESCOM, a proposal will be that as you write off ESCOM's debt and bail them out, as a provision to their bailouts, it is that they should be writing off municipal debts that are sitting with them, because you do not bail us out as municipalities, but you continue to bail ESCOM out, and the interest that we are owing ESCOM continues to rise, which enables us then to make a surplus in our revenue, because whatever money we make, we must pay ESCOM. So as a provision to a bailout to ESCOM, it should be that they should be writing off municipal debts to them. Thank you.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu. Bhuti wami wesiqoko la qaleni ngiyaxolisa ukukubiza ngaleyo ndlela. Yebo nguwe bhuti wami.
Thank you for the opportunity. I don't mind being identified by the head. Thank you. My name is Amias Mvunelo, the CEO of Smart Agri Cities here in Johannesburg. Our particular focus is on developing local municipalities using smart agri-cities. And this is one of the things I'll speak about. Thank you, Mr. President. I believe through your model that the visionaries have developed, the DDM, we can turn this around. We can turn this around by some of the interventions that we make. We have a model that I think would be the content of the DDM, and we can engage at another level with both the Minister of COGTA and the President. What I think we can do as, for now, from a business perspective, is we kind of need to do away with the doing you a favor attitude that we sometimes get on the other side, specifically from the municipalities.
Can I stop you, my brother?
That we are seen, sorry?
Can I stop you?
All right.
With that, can you please come over to DM Babela here and give us your contact details?
Yeah, I have done that.
I will really want the mayors and municipalities to talk to the president.
Okay,
Thank you very much, with great respect.
thank you.
Thank you. Ngiyacela nabazolandela, can we please be from municipalities will also afford traditional leaders an opportunity. And I make you a promise that we will liaise with your organization.
Thank you, facilitator. Greetings to the President. I'm Amos Mbela from Umsobomvu local municipality. Mine is a simple one. The DDM, introduction of the DDM. At municipalities, we see that this is a good way of doing things. But the problem that we are beginning to pick up is that the Department of COGTA sees this program, or other departments as well, as local government program. Whereas if you look at the DDM, it seeks to change how government works, the whole of government. So I'm here standing saying the Department of COGTA must then make sure that all other stakeholders that are required to ensure that DDM works, they take that responsibility very seriously. Thank you.
Ngiyabonga. You are next, my brother, in the mic there.
Good morning, President. Good morning, Sawubona Dlamini Zuma. I come there from, I lived for 25 years in Underberg, there in your municipality that's named after you. Currently, President, I am the Executive Mayor of Saldanha Bay Municipality, a beautiful little mini city there outside of the metro of Cape Town, on the Weskus of South Africa. We are currently rated in Ratings Africa as the #1 financial municipality in the Western Cape and #2 in the country. President, I've sat here for 2 days listening to various speakers and the DDM, Minister Dlamini Zuma, and I cannot say that I can sit down and not speak. There's 3 independent spheres of government. The Constitution speaks very clearly how we handle those. I've sat here for 2 days and listened how the DDM will be articulated from top to bottom, while we that are working well with our C municipalities, that have got a formula that is working. I'm sitting here with my municipal manager and my administration that's doing a fantastic job. But not once, Honorable President, have we been asked, what do you do? How do you do it? We have a district municipality that we work excellent with, because in the IGR structure, there's more than enough space to set up that intergovernmental relationship by choice and by agreement. Honorable President, our C municipality, I think, have had 11 consecutive clean audits. How can we sit here and not speak? How can you want to rebuild local government, but it's coming from the top down instead of from the bottom up? So, President, I'm asking, Honorable Minister Dlamini Zuma, I'm requesting kindly, come and speak to us. I don't want to speak on behalf of the Western Cape, but I speak on behalf of many municipalities that says we feel uncomfortable how this is articulated and we cannot identify it with it at this moment in time. So I look forward to positive engagements going forward, and thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you from Saldanha Bay. Niyangropa ke lapha emuva benibabili senibane manje. Ngicela ukuthatha the first two and go to the last mic.
Well, thank you.
I lapho bhuti wami uyangiropa. Khuluma bhuti wami. I-shirt ungathi powder blue top.
No, thank you, DM. Good morning, Mr. President. I've got two issues, but the first one is on the SEZ. The equitable opportunities that are afforded to SEZ, we are not happy with it. Selvilo Ngwabala from Thabo Mfutsanyana in the Free State. We've got an SEZ in Thabo Mfutsanyana which is not well supported. Our view is that the President as well as the responsible department must give an equitable attention and support and linkage with opportunities to all the SEZs in the country, so that our SEZ can also benefit economic development in respective districts. The second issue is this, on the DDM. We are still struggling to get participation and support of SOEs in our work of DDM. In the district, particularly the rural, the rural districts, SOEs are not coming to the front to support the process of DDM, particularly with opportunities as well as with critical information, so that our one plans can be credible. Thank you, President.
The brother next to you.
Thank you. My name is Mosala Lupetse. I'm from Khatolopele Municipality. Honorable President, mine relates to the issue of land. Our municipality does not have land because the land around our municipality is owned by the Department of Public Works, which makes us basically non-functional whenever we want to address issues, especially related to issues of local economic development and town development. So our request is, can Public Works give the land back to us because it belongs to us as an institution? The other issue relates to the legality, because the area that I'm coming from is a mining area. The legality of the mining charter, in our engagement relating to issues of social labor plans, the mines are adamant to say that the mining charter does not have any legal standing, just a document, a guideline. For an example, one mine is saying, in terms of their social plan, they are only going to contribute 3 million for the next 5 years for the municipality. And then when you check, in terms of issues that has been raised, because we'll check with DMR, but DMR has not been assistance. We also like to be assisted in that particular area. Now the last point relates to the issue of water. You know, our town has got so many water, we've got water like nobody else's business. Now our concern as a municipality is that there's been this movement of establishing water boards. Now, my understanding, I'll normally compare water boards with ESCOM. Many municipalities owns water board lot of money. Ours is that we as Khatolopele municipality, we rather give or advise or even say to other municipalities, have your own entity, do not rely on water board, because of ultimately you are selling your water, your people's water to water boards, and then the people must buy back that water from those water boards. But that will be your assistant president, but basically on the issue of land. I thank you.
At the back, Butuam, yes, in the next mic. Hi, Butuam.
Thank you.
Hi, Con.
Thank
Ugqoke black or really navy.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. My name is Lulamile. My surname is Nkombi. I'm coming from Mthanjeni municipality, entrusted with the responsibility of being the mayor of Mthanjeni. I have just one issue on the table, President and the Minister, on the issue of accreditation, that is the housing development. The process started maybe there around 2006. The municipalities that were at the levels, level 1 to level 2. But the process ended and it never continues. And the municipality, that was an expectation created by the process. And the units were developed by municipality. And currently, there are staff that are there without a budget. That puts more pressure on the finances of the municipality. That process was based on capacity of the municipality to develop the issues of developing houses. So I'm putting to the president and the minister that can't those municipalities that are in that process be given the whole responsibility? Thank you, Minister.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu. The mic next, in a white shirt, Butuam, the 5th mic on this aisle. Awukho ready? Umile ubheke move. Okay, there you are.
Thank
There's
you,
no thank
Deputy Minister. I think my name is Tulani Elvis Mpitigezi, the Speaker of Mirafong City Local Municipality. I think there are a few issues that I want to raise. Is just a reminder to the President, because the issue that speaks about the allocation of seats, especially on the PR, is an issue that has been raised for a very long time. And I think if the President can re-look at that with the Cabinet. But I think the other issue that President has been raised is around the remuneration of councillors. And I think as we are sitting here, a number of municipalities for 3 consecutive years, they did not receive an increase. And I think it's something that the President will have to look at it. But I think the other issue that President that I wanted to register is the issue, the system that councillors and SALG have been proposing in terms of the fiscal. I think we are told that the system, if councillors are going to be paid according to the fiscal, is going to be expensive. And I think, President, if you can look at that as you will be meeting with the CAP. I think, President, you will have observed, and the Minister Mamungosazana Dlamini, that there is a reduction in terms of the current upper limit, which was signed on the 2nd of June 2022, that the 300 that used to be allocated to councillors is no more there. Those are the issues that perhaps I wanted to raise. Thank you, President and Deputy Minister.
Yes,
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister, and greetings to the President, all protocol observed. Well, my name is Henry Ngoma from Victor Kanye Local Municipality in Kangala in Mpumalanga. The 2 issues that I want to raise, one is that maybe we should, in relation to local government, maybe we should look at the constitutional amendments, in a sense that if the Constitution would allow a non-metro municipality that is category A, so that at least we cater for the issues that my colleague have raised. Number 2, when President, when you speak on the financial capacity of municipalities, when the Municipal Property Rates Act was enacted, it was to assist exactly that. But I think the challenge came when municipalities were forced to resolve to exempt the public service infrastructure. If I would maybe submit that when you go to cabinet, at least find a way to assist municipalities to be able to levy property rates on the public service infrastructure. All the national roads, provincial roads, ESCOM properties, ESCOM roads that crisscross the municipal space. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director. Can I speak?
No, bhuti wami ayikhona. Uyandroba. Ngikuleya mic ephakamisa iphepha lapho bhuti wami oshethele grayish or navy somewhere there.
Thank you very much, President and Program Director.
Just hold on. Bantu abasekhaya ngicela kungasangeni umuntu kule mic. Niyangiroba nonke bekusela ubhuti wami owesithu lapho emva kwestripe. He's our 11th speaker now. The one who's on the podium, and the last one on this row will be our 12th.
I think you passed me by mistake, DM.
Ngikuphase ngemistake angakakuphasi into yasekhaya wena we-stripe shirt ngiza kuwe. The people who are behind you yibo abangirobhayo. So let's continue 1 2 ngizobona ukuthi ngenza kanjani la. Continue bhuti wami, I'm sorry to disrupt you.
Thank you, Program Director, President, Minister. My name is Kumalo Mulefe. I am the Executive Mayor of Ngakamudiri Mulema District Municipality in the Northwest. I will go straight to the point. Point 1, President, all other spheres of government have a legislated opportunity to meet and engage you, but this sphere of government does not have that legislated opportunity. Can we make a standard provision where it is not the president who addresses us, but is the president who listens to us, and later then the president can address that? Can we have that commitment so that we are not told all the time, but we are not listened to as people in the coal face? That is number 1. President, we welcome the amendment of the Systems Act, which seeks to bring the necessary stability and depoliticize. But we want to say politicization of the administration is not only at local level, it cuts across all spheres of government. We want a similar legislation which depoliticizes administration across the board. Number 3, President, let's move swiftly towards one public service where all public service administration will be treated the same, where public office bearers will be treated the same. I refuse, President, to accept that we, for an example, as mayors, must, and our welfare is very critical. Why the coal face? It's our houses that are being torched. It's our children that are being tormented. We are not protected by SABC, yet ministers, deputy ministers, and MECs are protected by SABC. We must fend for ourselves. President, we do not have mayoral houses anymore. Maybe it's okay, but MPLs and MPs and MECs and all that do have. Ours were stopped through a secular. I'm raising these things, President. I've raised them in the Council of Mayors. We are told we must purchase vehicles for 700,000. I am yet to be told, President, what vehicle is that I must use in a rural area. Because a Toyota Baki, President, is 900 to $1 million currently in the market. I will stop here. I have many issues that I want to raise with my president, but it looks like we are in an orphanage sphere of government. Can we change that thing where engaging my president must be regarded as a
privilege. It can't be. It is painful. We are in the cold phase. We are sacrificing. We want to have our president. President, please come to us. Let's engage you. Thank you very much.
The last speaker on this aisle, my brother there at the back. Yes, you are standing, white, grayish. Are you okay? Can I pass? Because I'm not coming back. You are looking at the back. You are the last person standing. Quick to the point, Mtaseka ngiyacela.
Thank you very much. And I just want to take forward from the last speaker. He only mentioned the issue of taking care of the mayors. The mayors, they sit with the speakers in the situation called PMT. That PMT as a whole should be seriously taken care of. The same protection that is speaking about should be advanced to the 3 offices, because the decisions that they take, it is not only taken by the mayor, it's taken by the 3 offices. Thank you very much. I wanted to add that.
Except that awungitshelanga Mtaseka ukuthi uphuma kuphi.
Oh, Puma Elimpopo. My name is Maplanka.
How maplanka uyenza kanja uyidiya jwantu ezwatsho ma.
Ke tswa mo masipaleng wa Makhado. Ke a leboga.
Maplanka benka se go bone ke emegole so man. Ke a leboga nonetheless, Mayor of Makhado. Ban lukishetša line e kishetše ka batho ba babedi.
Thank you, Program Director, finally. I will only speak to 2 things, Program Director. Number 1 is the matter that we've been raising with Salga. My name is Jeffrey Lisi. I'm the single whip of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda District Municipality in Northwest. We have been raising this issue of the unfair equitable share, particularly where it affects rural municipalities. You know, where we come from, we've got rural municipalities dominantly in the Eastern Cape, in the Northwest, in Limpopo, but I will speak for where I am from in the Northwest. We feel that it is not fair. You are giving more money to bigger municipalities that can afford, that are collecting revenue. Because remember, local government is the only sphere that is revenue dependent. Now, we are not collecting for obvious reasons, that our people are not working, there is no employment in the country. But you are punishing us for not collecting. On top of that, we are getting a very small amount under this dispensation called the equitable share. So the proposal is that we scrap the equitable share and give municipalities that are in need. You must give money according to the need that is there on the ground. And I can tell you that rural municipalities needs more money because we've got unfunded budget.
That has been raised. Your second point?
My second point is that we are proposing that since we are at the coal phase, like Comrade Kumalo said, we are proposing that you scrap provinces so that you can get capacity. If you scrap provinces, obviously you'll get capacity.
That has been raised, one public service, Mtasekai. Next point.
Last but not least, Chairperson, we are saying that all councillors must get the same amount, irrespective of the size of the municipalities that
has been raised.
Thank you.
Yabo. The last person.
What about me, DM? You passed me by mistake, please. Please.
And you've got to guarantee me you are not going to raise any issue that has been raised.
Yes.
Okay. I still have the last speaker on the mic wearing black. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Chair. My name is SABC Mpelo. I'm the Executive Mayor of Mahike Local Municipality under the Ngakamudiri Mulema District Municipality in the Northwest. Chair, we have challenges in some instances in other municipalities when it comes to operating licenses. Alone in the municipality that I preside over, we do not have even a single operating license, either to sale of electricity, vehicle registration. So we want the process to be expedited, that all municipalities, local municipalities, should be given those operating licenses. It's important because we can't even create the revenue if we do not have such operating licenses. The municipality that I preside over.
Second point, Tsepiso.
Okay, it's on the grading of municipalities, Chair. We really need the process of grading of municipalities.
That
to be
has been
expedited.
raised, Tsepiso.
Now the other one is the historic debts. I know it has been raised. I have to emphasize this matter, that the historic debts, especially of water, should be scrapped off. Now this thing is hindering the process of the municipality, and we are adopting unfunded budget. Those are some of the things that we want, and also to modernize our rural municipalities. For instance, as I said down, Chair, we have an international airport in Mahikeng, for example, which is not operating. Those are some of the developmental issues that should be looked into by the provincial government. Because in some municipalities, including mine, we are sharing responsibilities with the provincial government, and we want to adhere to the Chapter 7 of the Constitution. That local municipalities should be given the responsibilities to have power and influence within their jurisdiction. I hope.
Izwakele Mtaseka.
Okay.
Plus, I owe that municipality a visit. So
And
who
I'm-
am I to cut you?
Please come
Last
to my
speaker
people.
on the floor. I have
Thank you.
received your request in writing.
No, thank you, DM. My name is Fistos Mafela from Madimbo Village, the Chief Whip of Musina Local Municipality. I have only one issue concerning the issue of report back meetings. We always go to the community and report back to the community. But if you can check, more than 80 to 90% of service deliveries are coming from the departments. So we want ministers, MECs to join us when we go to the communities, because people are complaining about roads, issue of health, issues of water. So if you can have a program so that as municipality, when we go to the communities, we just come and assist us to report back to the communities, it will be better. I think if you can go back to Parliament and make sure that you come and assist us at local government, we will have a good service delivery. Because if you can check, when people marched to the councillors, and they come and march for the roads, and we don't have a budget for the roads, can you please come and join us when we do quarterly report back meetings? Thank you.
Yazakala Chief Whip, bengicela bendlunkulu oyedwa njengoba beningicelile bengibobu omuthi ayilojiya mic and raise the few issues if there are. Otherwise we will be beginning with our response. Kune mic mama nje buyela 2 rows at the back. $165 municipalities resides in rural and small towns under the leadership of Maoshi Arena.
Ke a leboga moradisi ke ise tlotlo yotlhe ke buela bogosi botlhe bo bo leng teng gompieno. I'm talking on behalf of the sector. We have just few pertinent issues. I think we've raised most of the issues in our deliberations yesterday. At the top of our issues is the request for active collaborative participation. We believe that it's by choice that we seem to not find ourselves in synergy with our municipalities. And it's a two-way street. Let us try by all means for the benefit of the people, because we serve the same constituencies. The second one that we spoke about is Invest Rural, which our Honorable President also supports, which talks about LED from the lens of traditional leadership, untapping the potential which lies in the rural economy, creating self-sufficient communities to build a prosperous nation, which is aligned really to the DDM, NDP, and the SDGs. We also would like us to acknowledge the inclusion of the Khoisan communities, which we know that the delay of their recognition as traditional leaders is because of the ongoing commission on their recognition. But that doesn't stop us or stop municipalities from engaging with them as citizens of the country. Lastly, I think this statement will summarize our position. Yesterday, when I presented on Invest Rural, I mentioned that there's a saying that says "Kopano ke matla," which is a heavily loaded statement, just 3 words, but heavily loaded. And I think that would be our take-home, food for thought for each and every one of us, because we owe that to our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mewaka. Thank you very much, Ms. Chaba. Let me start, Honorable Mayors, by apologizing. I know you would have wanted more time to engage with the President, but this is all we could take. And of course, is one for many to come. So I do believe we will still get opportunities to engage in one way or the other in various platforms, as the President also visits provinces. So without much ado, Honorable President, I'm not going to attempt to respond on your behalf, but there are 2, 3 key issues which are at the ambit and the responsibility of COGTA. Ngizoziti shwa and hand over to you for responses. I'm not sure, Honorable Minister, if you would want to also come before the President and as we conclude this session. There are just 3 issues. The others, really, I think we can go back home and work on them. The issue of the upper limits, the 300 rand data, and the councillor capacity with regard to access to universities. It was raised, and the process has been ignited at the department for an upper limit annexure to deal with those 2 key issues. President, the second one was dealing with allowing councillors to register for higher qualification certificates, more than certificates, which we are offering either at the National School of Government or as LGCTA, as SALGA, as COGTA combined, to develop the capacity of councillors. The crew of what is sitting in front of you is 10 months old, predominantly new, predominantly young, and they need opportunities in the 5 years to have invested, because as we invest in them, we invest in those communities. So that one is sitting at the table and it is receiving the necessary attention. And it should be sitting at municipalities very shortly in preparation for the next educational calendar year, which is January. The second one I would like to respond to is the DDM and possibly extend a hand. Saldanha Bay in this instance led the discussion with the thought and the feeling that DDM wants to replace the IGR. And no, it actually assists municipalities to be able to leave what started in 1998 as a white paper of local government. It's not by accident that there's category A, there's category B municipalities, there's category C. And then there is a province, and then there is a national. That comes from our white paper. So what DDM is saying Department of Education, sit with Saldanha Bay, tell them, where are you building a school? It has been difficult to get, from a municipal point of view, such cooperation. Where it happens, we applaud it. But the system is trying to bring back government to operate in its entirety, not a silo. There's no money that will move to national because there's DDM, or a local that will move to district because there's DDM. It's us to plan together. And the learning, I think we can walk together with it. The law remains the same. It's the doings that we need to improve so that there's no minister who land in your municipality and you don't know what is she landing for, to build a school or a clinic or any other thing. And that emphasis is important because once we don't start at the same pace, at the same understanding, it will derail everything. And the last one, Honorable President, it's actually an emphasis of what was discussed at Cabinet Lekgotla. You may not really, public service infrastructure refers to school, and you remember one of the presentation which comes. Some schools are exempted, churches are exempted, and many other are exempted. And that's where part of the revenue of municipalities is in terms of rates and taxes, but mostly in terms of what we call property rates. They are unable to collect. Ezinye nawe mtasekhanga ukushiya nazo, they were raised in an engagement to you. Mthathe lezi easy, I leave the difficult ones. It can only happen once. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. I think the DM has spoken, but just umkhaya wami lo wase Underbego sese Western Cape manje. Let me just say to you, we do talk to you. Last week I was in Cederberg, invited by that municipality, and they didn't have the same view that you have. So we will come to you if you invite us, and we will engage. But I want to suggest something, because it's clear that this session is not sufficient. That when we have sessions like this, maybe we have half a day that is like imbizo, where mayors, speakers, MMs have the opportunity that the public normally has to speak to the president and other ministers, so that we have that session, because some of the things that you are raising also belong to other departments. So we can put half a day or the whole day, which we then have all of you, but we also have ministers, we have the president, so that we have a mbizo type where everyone can then participate and other departments can also give their answers to some of the questions that you are making. So I'm making that suggestion. So I hope that you'd welcome that. Instead of having just an hour with the president, have a whole day with the whole cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for that suggestion. As you were making half a day, the president said the whole day. So I think it's already received. It will go according to the processes. Honorable President, allow me to once more call you back to the podium to deal with some of the issues that the mayors have and troikas have raised.
Thank you, DM, and thank you, Minister. I really welcome this opportunity to have this exchange with all of you. And as Minister Dlamini Zuma correctly said, it would be really good to have an imbizo type session where we will have more members or all members of cabinet being able to meet with you in this type of session. Because we do that when we have our imbizos. I usually have up to 75% of cabinet in a number of these imbizos, and where we allow community members to raise whatever issue, and usually no hold bars, or bars held or whatever, where people speak openly, not only about processes or things that are not being done, even raise issues that you, Minister, you haven't done ABC, you promised this and all that. So I don't see the reason why we don't do that with you who are really at the coalface, as one of you said, of government processes, because you are at the most important level. And that's where we need to pay closer attention and demonstrate that we're willing to work closely with yourselves. Let me start off with what Zamo Ngumalo said. He raised the issue of the funding model. And I think you have discussed this. And as I said in my initial input, I would be more interested in hearing what your proposals are. Come forward with your proposals so that we are able to have that exchange. And of course, within the limited fiscal parameters that we have, we should be able to look at that and see how best that can be addressed. When I often look at the budget and I see the percentage that's set aside for local government, I always feel that we can do more and we should do more. And when you look at just the experience and what's happening on the ground, when you look at the local government architecture we have, where you have a number of local government municipalities that do not have a revenue stream at all and will never be able to, you then realize that there is something more that we need to be doing at the national level. And also when you look at the needs, the real challenges that our people are having, you know, be it housing, be it issues of water, reticulation and all that, you really realize that more funding is needed. But this needs to be seen against the backdrop of the many, many demands on our fiscus of a broader and national nature. So the funding model is an issue that has been raised, needs to be addressed, because as you correctly said, we have policies, good policies. As I said, we now need to have those policies properly implemented. I couldn't agree more that yes, and I think two of you raised this, like Nolutando also raised this, we do not have resources to employ accountants and engineers. Because in an outlying town, and I would be the first to admit, in an outlying town, for you to attract a CA, an engineer, becomes a real difficult one. There was a time when there was a thought of, you know, how best these can be shared in a particular area. You do a circumference and so forth. But I think COCTA is busy working on this, and not only from a financial point of view, but from a functionality point of view as well. So this needs to be looked at, because we do need to make our municipalities much more efficient. And in order for them to be efficient, you need to professionalize the civil service. You need to have people who are well qualified. So that is a matter that COCTA has been and continues to work on. And with Ngumalo says there must be job exchange. We must get the ministers and the MECs to go and work in the municipality. I could be the first. I would like to go and work as a mayor somewhere. I think it's a good idea. It could also be just job shadowing or work study, where we bring, say, national government closer. I've been tempted from time to time just to go and arrive at a municipality and see what is happening there. So be careful what you ask for, because you may get it. You may find me arriving and saying, I've come for a job exchange. But I think it's a wonderful idea. The issue of ESCOM writing of debt, because we we deal with Eskom's debt, it's not so much, maybe even writing it off. We are looking at Eskom's debt. Eskom's debt has ballooned to 450 billion. And clearly, where Eskom is now will not be able to meet that debt. It's a national challenge and issue, and Eskom wants you to pay what you owe them. And what I would throw back at you is the following. If, for instance, even on Eskom, if we are going to do something with the debt, there are certain obligations we are going to impose on them. There's nothing for nothing in this world, as you well know. If you want something, you've got to be able to give something back. So even Eskom will go through that as we deal with their debt as well. So in your case as municipalities, I would say, want a write-off, put forward a proposal. Want debt to be written off, and this is what we will do in exchange. So that a level of seriousness in terms of applying yourselves to addressing the issue of electricity charges that Eskom levies on you is seen. So it cannot just be write off without you reciprocating in whatever fashion. And that is how even you would know, even at a personal level, when you've got a debt, you want the bank to write it off or to give you more time to pay. There are certain things that they will want you to address yourself. So I would say, put forward proposals. Put forward proposals that can be looked at so that they can be engaged. Amios wanted to talk about smart agri-cities, and he's been directed to see the Deputy Minister, because that could be very, very interesting. And Amos Mbela said, DDM is a good way of doing things, and DDM should not be about local government. Absolutely right. District development model, it's possibly the lack of a better word. It's all of government development model, all of it. Because as someone said right towards the end, I'm trying to see who it was Festus, the chief whip. As he said, 90% of what happens at local level impacts on the work of national government. And so therefore, it is important that the district development model and add all of government development model means that it is the national, provincial, and local, be it local or district, working together to achieve certain purposes. Deputy Minister Nkadimeng was saying, if they want to build a school, if basic education wants to build a school, they must come and tell you that they are going to build a school. No. They should say, there is a need of a school, and the initiative should even have started at your level, that there's a need for a school here, and basic education, we need a school. But basic education should not come alone. We should look at all other departments that are going to be affected. What about roads? What about everything else that goes along with that? Environmental, are you going to be able to give us the permit quickly to be able to build the school? Is there a police station nearby if there's going to be a whole number of issues? So all of government then gets involved, social welfare and all that. All of government gets involved so that that school can then be built. And it is this breaking down of silos, it is this all of government getting involved, so that when basic education, having either responded to your request in Saldanha Bay or wherever, is then able to say to other departments, by the way, they must say, we are going to spend 150 million rand building a school in Saldanha Bay. And we think, we know, we need to let you know we now need to work together, police and everyone and so forth, to make sure that the school takes off. So that is now the bottom-up process. And I know that you didn't say what your name is from Saldanha Bay. I wanted to write your name. You didn't say, but you say it's top-down. No, sir. I see it as bottom-up and meeting somewhere in the middle. Basic education can have the process of saying we need to build a school in Saldanha Bay or wherever. And you yourselves should already have realized that there is no school there. We therefore need to interact. So it could be from the bottom up and also top to the bottom. And we meet in the middle and then we do a proper intergovernmental process. Now, the IGR is not threatened by the district development model. All these are processes of enhancing the process of government working together, as Amos Mbela said. So I do not see these as mutually exclusive. I see these processes as mutually inclusive, and where we strengthen government and enable government to work right across properly. Someone, I think it was the DM, who commented a bit on this. I remember clearly the story that the deputy president once told me that when he was a premier, one day he hears his officials saying, "Premier, do you know that Minister X is in our area and they've come to launch a 200 million project of like infrastructure nature?" And the premier, the deputy president now, did not know. And in a way, that is what inspired the whole process of saying we need to work together, break down the silos, because that, having been a practical example, raised questions of how it could happen that a national minister can come and launch a 200 million rand project in a province not far away from where the premier's office is, and the premier does not know. It happened in reality. So breaking down those silos, working both from the bottom and also working from the top, meeting in the middle, and making sure that government processes are linked, interdependent, and cooperative. That's precisely what it means. And the titling might be something that, seems at times to offend people, but it should not be. And I've often heard about this from the Western Cape, and I don't know what it is that they have in mind about this, because we are all one government. We are a unitary state. There is no that separation that people might want to have. South Africa is a unitary state, and we should start accepting that as the reality and not fight against it. Now, Selby Tabo talks about SEZ. And I like what he says. He says there needs to be equitable attention and opportunities for SEZs. And he also, let me deal with the second issue, deals with district development model is struggling to get the support of SOEs. I can well believe that, because we do need to inculcate in the minds and the heads of our SOEs that they too, as state-owned entities, need to be part of this district development model. And by the way, the district development model calls upon not only government entities and government departments, it calls upon all role players in a particular area to be interested in what is happening. For instance, if it's a school in Saldanha Bay that's got to be built, the business community must know. They need to be interlinked with all that so that we know exactly where the school is going to be. Is it going to be near a tavern? We don't want that. Is it going to be near a big shopping center? We may not want that. So that whole process must be engaged so that everything is interlinked and everybody is made au fait with what's happening. My sister from the traditional leaders also spoke about Rural Invest. That too needs to be part of this whole process, so that when we even get businesses to invest, be it state entities of whatever nature, they too must be part of the district development model. And it must be brought alive by the involvement of all role players. And that was the original conception. It's not a one-dimensional process, it's a multi-dimensional one which involves all key role players in the endeavor to develop our areas. And when it comes to SEZs, and I said, you know, I find this a very attractive idea that which was raised by Selby Tabo, that there needs to be equitable attention and opportunities. Right you are. Yes, there may well be a tendency at times to lay more emphasis on certain SEZs, and we need to recalibrate our own attention to these SEZs. Now, I've often found that an SEZ really in the end works more effectively if there is a single anchor. There must be an anchor or two anchor investors or products or service where we bring them all together and say, this is what we can then peg everything around. We have an anchor, and I've often said to people, if you want an SEZ, let us think broadly and say, what is the anchor? What is it that is going to attract investors to come here? We launched an SEZ in Tshwane, and the anchor was a multinational entity that makes cars. And they manufacture cars, so they became the anchor. And on that, we were then able to hang a whole lot of others, including lots of small and medium enterprises in Mamelodi and in the surrounding Pretoria or Tshwane area. So your anchor is there, and then once you lift up your anchor, and they know that we are the anchor, they are then able to also ensure that all other businesses then succeed. Sometimes we just think that we must have an SEZ without having worked through the process of saying, what is the queen bee? Is there a queen bee? You know how bees work, a beehive. You cannot have a beehive without a queen bee. The queen bee must be in place, and once it is in place, then all the other bees then work towards fattening that queen bee and making sure that the queen bee produces the honey and the eggs and all that. So let us think of SEZs in that regard, particularly for many of us who want to have SEZ. We thought of another one in Northwest. What is the anchor? The anchor is platinum. Platinum is our anchor, but what do we want to do there? We want to beneficiate platinum. So that becomes the central queen bee that we must now make sure that it works well. We thought of another one in Mpumalanga, near, I think, a border post, which is agriculturally based. The other one is in KZN. What is there? Manufacturing based. So those are the anchors that we need to think. The Dube Port one, that's what we need to do, and it has attracted more. So you're absolutely right. There should be equitable attention and opportunities. So that's how we must also start thinking outside the box. Musala Mukhetle raises the issue of land, particularly issue of land owned by public works. I couldn't agree more, and I think there we need more practical proposals that come forward and say, we don't have land, we need land. There was a time when I went to Delmas. In Delmas, they said, we need to build, here in Mpumalanga, we need to build 5,000 more houses. We've run out of land. But there's a lot of land around there. And I said, look at our constitution. Our constitution enables us to be able to expropriate land for public use. We can do that and say, we've identified this, 5,000 people need space to live, and instead of sitting back and moaning and say, oh, we don't have land and so forth, there are many, many ways in which we can address this problem. So similarly, on this one, wherever it may be where Public Works owns land, identify, get hold of all those title deeds and say, the municipality needs land, and this is the proposal that we want to put forward. And all those discussions take place on something that is on the table, that is a reality, so that there can be developments. Now, mining companies that say that the mining charter is not applicable, I mean, that too needs to be challenged. The mining charter is what has been adopted, and we need to interact with them, and we need to make sure that those companies that operate in those areas don't get away with their, the processes, the labor, the social labor plans that have no impact. The social labor plans must have an impact. They must be developmental. They must be able to enhance the development of where our people are. And you said water boards are a problem. I didn't quite understand, but I want you to engage Minister Mkhunu on that. Ululamile, Mkumbi said the accreditation of municipalities in relation of levels has been like slowed down or abandoned, that it has stuck. And those municipalities that have shown development potential and capability needs to be evaluated. I couldn't agree more, and now that this issue has been raised, COCTA should be able to look at that. Tulani raises the issue of allocation of seats. Yes, this matter is being addressed. It's always, it's after an election, that's when it raises its head. It now needs to be addressed because it is a problem right across. It is the way in which our system was crafted, and every system needs to be looked at in terms of its effect and functionality that whether it achieves its purpose. A remuneration of councillors, that obviously must be an issue, and an ongoing issue. From what I hear, the proposal is lower the remuneration of councillors, bring it down, because councillors are getting too much money. So that is a very interesting proposition for the Minister of Finance, because that's what I thought Tulani was saying. Is that not what he said, would reduce the pay of councillors? Okay, the issue having been raised is a matter that obviously needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed against the backdrop of what you are dealing with as well, with your municipal workers. And sometimes when I look at your budgets, because I do take time to look at your budgets, I find that at times a number of your councils spend 30 to 35% on remuneration. And in some cases, it's slightly higher. And I often say that any business that will spend so much money on just remuneration, it's a business that's going out of business. It's almost going bankrupt, because that is often the biggest cost that any business has to take care of. Now, you look at it at your level of your municipality, you then transpose that at a national level. At a national level, it's much bigger. Our budget or expenditure for payment of government employees is much bigger than what you have at your local level. So the issue of remuneration always needs to be looked at. Not so much to say it must go down, but to say when it does go up, what else do we take up? Because That's forces of nature. We need to say, yes, we need to look at it in a positive way, go up. The cost of living has gone up, but at the same time, what is it that has gone down that is going to have a negative impact? So it is in that regard that we also need to look at it. Henry Ngoma from Kangala then raises the issue of rates and taxes for public infrastructure. You said even roads, there must be rates and taxes for roads. I don't know if I've never heard of that. Minister Dlamini Zuma has immediately said, well, they also want rates and taxes for the union buildings. So there is this call. There is this call that public entities should also pay rates and taxes. And sometimes the unfortunate part is we often hear that government departments that hire certain offices, that have certain offices don't pay rates and taxes. I think that is wrong. They must also pay their rates and taxes. And we did exempt, I think, schools and churches and so forth, and that needs to be also looked at. I'm not so sure about schools, but that needs to be looked at. So public infrastructure would mean roads, would mean water installations and so forth. It's a matter that I personally have not given any thought to, but it's possibly a matter that can be looked at. Kumalo Mulefe says we want legislation to have the president listening to us. We want legislation also to depoliticize processes in the local government, and you want a single public service, which is precisely what we are aiming for. But more than that, you also say mayors are exposed. They are exposed. Sometimes you're right, your houses are torched. You are blamed for everything, like I'm blamed for everything. You are blamed for everything. You know, Mayor Makura, no, not Mayor, Premier Makura the other day at the Heritage Day stood up and said, President, you are blamed for everything. Electricity, you are to blame. Unemployment, you are to blame. Crime rate, you are to blame. And when a child cries, you are to blame. And added. So as a mayor, I know that you are blamed for everything. And that is what happens in this type of job. Once you have accepted to be in the position that you are in, you'll be blamed for everything that happens in your area. And now you are saying you don't have security, you are exposed. It's a matter that needs to be looked at. And in some cases, threat analysis have had to be made around certain mayors, and appropriate action would then be taken by the police. And you say you are a house of orphanage, sphere of government. You are not. Local government is not an orphan. It is the firstborn of government in our country. Firstborn. You may have come after, President Mandela was inaugurated, but essentially you are the firstborn. So that's why we are paying so much attention. And this year alone, as I said, I've had five interactions with people in local government, as I am having today. So we want to pay closer attention, and we will be doing so as we go on. So I don't think there is a need for a legislation to have the president listening to yourselves. And I mean, I came so willingly here when I heard that there was this occasion. I said, that's where I want to be. And the minister said, there is this occasion. I said, I want to be there. So I want to have this exchange. And that is why I even said, as the DM also said, we should have an imbizo that will take all day. Because many of you may well have wanted to raise certain issues. so that we also have an opportunity to ask you questions, because I have a million questions to ask you. So I want it to be a two-way exchange. So if you are ready for a two-way exchange, let's have it. We'll have that type of an imbizo then. Maplanka, that's a very interesting name. I've never heard of anyone called Maplanka. And he says the PMT, these are the three offices that should be looked after. And I do agree. We do need to make sure that there is a proper process, be it of ensuring they are strengthened, they are empowered, and all that. And Jeffrey Lissia said the equitable share is unfair. I think you have stated that, and I think it's going to be in your report, and I want to hear proposals. And you were talking more about rural municipalities, and you say scrap the equitable share and just give municipalities money. And I think in the end that may not be doable, because we have a legislative injunction on this that we need to respond to. And you also raise an issue that scrap provinces. The issue of scrapping provinces has been on the table forever. Forever, to say, what is the role of provinces? What role do they play? Do they play a coordinating role, or whatever role they play? So that has to be a debate and a discussion that should ensue. So that debate must go on. We must hear the pros and the cons of this. It should not just be a debate in the air, and it must be something that is finally made a real discussion. And you say councillors must get the same amount irrespective of size. I think there is some legislation in regard to that, and I don't know how practical that would be, because others, meet much more often. They carry a much bigger burden. They have been categorized or accredited in different ways, but discussions can go on. Sepiso says that we don't have operating licenses, and you say historic debt should be scrapped. I address this issue and I say the concept of, say, debt forgiveness is something that is done. During COVID, when we were chair South Africa of the African Union, we argued at a global level for debt forgiveness, debt standstill, and debt lowering, and we came up through the envoys that we had appointed. We came up with a number of proposals, many of them, and some debt was scrapped. Debt was scrapped by a number of countries that had given debt to some countries. Debt was lowered, payment was forgiven and postponed. So these are the types of proposals that I would say come up with, because lenders or those that you owe would want to hear precisely what propositions you have. And you've got to make an attractive proposition that shows that you're serious, rather than just to say, scrap the debt. We live in a world where we need to make our propositions and proposals attractive, so that even those that we are proposing to find a way of being attracted to what we are saying. Festus, I already commented a little bit on what you said, but you said, and this is an important one, you say, in your report back meetings, you would like to have your champions participating, your district champions. And I think that's a very good proposal. Obviously, the diary processes, the calendar processes has to be looked at, but there's nothing wrong when you have a report back meeting in areas or on issues that you need someone from either provincial or national level for them to be there, to be able to explain. I have found that our people welcome very much just being kept abreast of what's happening, even if what they want is not going to happen. If they are given information that you wanted a school, we are not able to build a school now for this and that reason, and we report back to them. But we like make them insiders. We inform them of the challenges and difficulties, and we get them to accept. So we should never shy away from reporting back to our people. So I do subscribe to the idea that the champions should be there, because 90% of service delivery processes involve national departments. From the traditional leaders, the wonderful words and active collaborative cooperation is wonderful, and that's what we should have. And of course, the recognition of the Khoi and the San is an ongoing process. But I got attracted to the Invest Rural concept that the traditional leaders came up with, and we've said, come forward with some of those proposals and propositions so that we can see the way they will interface with our LEDs and our various other investment propositions. Particularly, I hope as now we've embraced the notion that it is at our level, at local level, where we need to garner investment, where we need to promote local investments, where as a mayor, as a speaker, as an MM, as a chief financial officer, you should know about all economic activities that take place in your area. And when you interact with those business people, it should be more on the basis of what can we do to help you to make sure that you succeed. The last time, and this is a boring story, I spoke of the story of a mayor in Japan who, after being appointed, went to Tokyo, in another outlying place in Japan. He went to Tokyo and went from company to company and said, come and invest in my town. I've just been appointed a mayor. I want you to come and invest, and this is what we will offer you. And that is exactly what that mayor did. And today it's a big metropolitan city because the initiative that was taken at that level to attract investment has become so impactful. And I would say, find a way, find the opportunity to work with those around you, the businesses, and get to know the businesses around you, and get to interact with them and crowd them in on a whole range of things, like, bursaries for young people, social issues, gender-based violence, assistance to create safe houses, you name it, and you'll find that they are willing to assist. The only problem we have is that we are not reaching out. So let's reach out at a more practical level and get to engage with these entities, including, other social partners, civil society, the churches, and what have you. So if we can work with them and be a type of local government that is clearly linked with everything that happens in our local area, all the better. Thank you very much for this opportunity to interact with you.
Thank you very much, Honorable President, for an opportunity to engage. We also have live feeds from our local government summit, #22, and there are good proposals which are coming through there. For example, a national incentive scheme to attract scarce skills in rural municipalities. They've also just created a link there and posted our Invest Rural master plan, Realeboga Maschaba, for that reminder. So I think it gets to get all of us thinking to ensure that the second summit or the second discussion that we will have with the president should be enriched, should be focused, should be directional. Allow my sincere apologies once more, for I'm generally a good person. and I'm sure you can attest to that. But I had pressures of time today. And I know I might have, put pressure on all of you in a way that was not desirable. Accept, please, my sincere apologies. We have come to the end of this session 6, and powers that be, can I hand over to security to escort the president out and request that we remain seated and you listen attentively as we are about to begin session 6. Session 7, mine is written 6, eh? It's 6, yes, the global perspective. I'm going to ask Professor Chris Malekane to move towards our technical team for the processes, while I inform you that because we ran behind schedule and there are colleagues who have got flights for this afternoon, I request that we move straight to section 6. Thank you for the direction. President would like to see Professor Chris Malekane. Can you come and take over, Professor Chris? I saw him this morning. Did you? Is he at the back?
He's hiding, that's okay.
Did you will call him? I'm sure he was thinking we're breaking for tea. What a missed opportunity cost to meet the president. But we'll interact with the office, Honorable President. Thank you very much for giving us the honor. If Chris is seen, he can meet the president at the door. I saw him in the morning. I hope he didn't have pressure of time. Colleagues, with Chris not being around, I will request, to the increase of chairs. We can do a leg stretch. We can have a working tea, colleagues walking in and out. But we will not stop the session. We have got pressures with the ambassador of China, and I would have loved you to hear him as we start the session. Mr. Duma Kubule.
But what we do, don't worry about it. Just call upon Duma and call upon the UN person as well.
Who's that UN person?
I can't remember the glasses.
It's Miss Christine. What is this name? Can I call from the United Nations, Miss Christine Mohogana, Duma Kubule, but I think she is on the,
yes, it's on the,
or is virtual. While we are getting our virtual platform ready as well, can you tell Duma to sort of facilitate? I'm so exhausted. Can I also call the director, Emini Idris Karamai? Pardon me if I'm not pronouncing your word right, from NEPAT agency. The lighting is failing me. move out quietly and swiftly so that the session can continue in earnest and we save time so colleagues who have got flights in the afternoon don't miss them. Colleagues, honorable mayors, who is Mr. Duma? I don't think we're winning the battle. We are not. Anti-good. Who's the technical? No one. I'm short of one panel member from the Vietnamese. I actually thought you are joining us online, but I'm told you are here. The program has not changed. My apologies for that. Please come to the fore. We are about to look at a thriving local economy, which is one of the issues that we have raised.
Shall I just start? All right. I know it was a little bit of a break. She said we can stretch the legs. That's probably. So I'm going to try if everyone can help. All right. Should I sit down?
No, I'm saying I.
Yes, you should as well.
Yeah.
I will do the same.
I'll just take your cue.
All right.
Come on.
Okay.
I'm giving it to, when I asked one of our officials.
That's why Chris was a president.
Yeah, yours looks.